Good evening. Both attorneys in Robin Mendez's murder trial did what they could to win the case in court over the last couple of weeks. Now Mendez's future is in the hands of Judge Jill Falstad. After 7 days of hearing testimony, Falstad will decide if Mendez is guilty of killing his wife Barbara in 1982. District Attorney Michael Sheik and Defense Attorney Peter Brzezinski gave their closing arguments this morning in Oneida County Court. Newswatch 12's Rose McBride was there. She joins us live outside the courthouse with what each attorney wanted the judge to know. Rose, good evening.
Lane, Sheik says Mendez had both the motive and the intent to kill Barbara. The motive being he was sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl at the time of the murder. And from the scene, he says that it was clear someone had planned out the murder, that it was premeditated. But Brzezinski said there is still enough reasonable doubt that she cannot convict Mendez.
Barbara followed behind him.
Much of the evidence against Robin Mendez is circumstantial. But District Attorney Michael Sheik says those more than 75 pieces of circumstantial evidence combined to make a strong case. Sheik argued since Barbara had no defensive wounds, she likely knew her murderer and unlocked the doors to let him into the credit union where she was working after hours.
There's no evidence of things strewn about the floor. There's no other disorganization which would indicate that she struggled with anybody.
The state says Mendez had the motive and intent to kill. He thought if his wife were to disappear, he could further his relationship with a 14-year-old girl he was assaulting.
For the murder, the defendant is already talking about it. He's already talking about when she had an accident. We could be together, continue this relationship.
In addition to the circumstantial evidence, Sheik argued there is direct evidence, including quasi-admissions from Mendez, some in the form of a letter to that 14-year-old girl.
He says, think about what's happened in the last 3 months, the last 6 months. A lot can happen in a short time. Again, that has to be referring to Barbara Mendez's murder. It's a clear inference.
Defense Attorney Peter Brzezinski says just because Mendez is a sex offender does not mean he is a murderer. He argued that another man, Thomas Bowes, committed the murder. He needed money and would do anything to get it.
The apparent motive for the murder was robbery. That is a common sense reason for this crime that we can say as a motive, Your Honor.
Brzezinski argued if not Bowes, then another robbery suspect who was never found could have committed the murder. According to local papers at the time, the Park City robbery was the 4th one that year. Brzezinski argued throughout the trial, since no one saw who killed Barbara Mendez, no weapon was found, and no physical evidence linked his client to the scene, there is just not enough proof to convict.
There's reasonable doubt. And Your Honor, if all of this, after all this that we've gone through, is not reasonable doubt, what is?
Since this is a bench trial instead of a jury trial, Judge Jill Falstad will take some time to deliberate. She will deliver her verdict Tuesday at 1 p.m. Live in Oneida County, Rose McBride, Newswatch 12.